The Red Sox have been a bit inconsistent this year, but not when it comes to crushing the New York Yankees. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin, and it's a sweep. The Boston Red Sox went into the Bronx this weekend and swept all 3 games against the New York Yankees. That officially puts them at 66-58 on the season. It puts them about 3 games back of the Toronto Blue Jays for 3rd place in this division. And it also, more importantly, puts them at 3 games back behind the Seattle Mariners for the final wild card spot. The Blue Jays and the Mariners flipped this weekend, and somehow the Red Sox were not able to gain any ground on either of them despite the sweep. But either way, they maintain their position at 3rd place in this division. And more importantly, in this series, it felt like the Red Sox may have just put the final nail in the coffin for what has been a truly miserable 2023 season for the New York Yankees, because during this series, the Yankees fell to 9 games behind a wild card spot, and it feels almost impossible for the New York Yankees to come back and make anything of this season, and all at the hand of the Boston Red Sox. So it was a pretty good weekend. So what we're going to do in today's videos, we're going to break down this latest Red Sox series. We're going to talk about everything that went right for the Red Sox, how they were able to sweep the New York Yankees, and we're going to talk about how this series may impact the rest of the 2023 season. But before we get into that, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Like we normally do, let's start with the offense in this series. It was kind of hard to pick a true MVP in this one because there were a lot of really great performances, and it ended up coming down to 2 people. But ultimately, I think this series MVP offensively should go to Rafael Devers. He had a pretty wild series in this one. He went 9 for 13 at the plate. He had a 3-hit game in every single game in this series, and at least 1 RBI in every game. He also had 2 home runs to go along with that. Rafi was absolutely on fire this week, and it felt like everything the Yankees were throwing at him, he was scorching it right back to him. It was absolutely incredible to watch. Hopefully, New York Yankees fully locked in Rafael Devers. He looks fully locked in right now, but we're going to see over the next couple of weeks, because that would be absolutely massive to the Boston Red Sox trying to fight their way back into a postseason spot, or at least make it interesting in September. Rafi's a huge part of that, so to see what he did this weekend is a very, very encouraging sign. The other guy who was really close to winning the series MVP was Justin Turner, because Justin Turner pretty much single-handedly won them the final game in this series, completing the sweep. During the entire series as a whole, he ended up going 5 for 13, but he had 6 total RBIs in this series, including the go-ahead run twice in the last game. One was a 3-run homer, and the other was an insanely clutch RBI. This dude is just constantly clutch, truly constantly clutch. He is one of the most professional hitters in all of baseball, and I'm at the point now where I feel truly comfortable with Justin Turner on with runners on base. Like, I'm at the point now where he comes up to the batter's box with a man at 3rd or a man at 2nd. I'm like, okay, cool. 1 more run at the bare minimum for the Boston Red Sox. It has been incredible to watch what Justin Turner's been able to do. This lineup is truly night and day with him in it and him not in it. And again, he pretty much single-handedly was able to give the Boston Red Sox this sweep and earn this sweep over this weekend, and it's just absolutely incredible to watch what Justin Turner's been able to do in the batter's box over the last few months. Luis Urias made history this weekend as well. He's the 2nd player in Red Sox history to hit a grand slam in back-to-back at-bats, and he is the first Red Sox in history to do it on back-to-back pitches, because technically he really only saw 1 pitch before he hit a grand slam in this series, which is really, really cool. On top of that, it was off of Garrett Cole, which made it even more sweeter. Now, Luis Urias doesn't have a ton of hits with the Red Sox, but when he has been making contact, they've been really, really productive outs. The Boston Red Sox were able to take him in and then turn him into a 123 WRC plus. Good defensive second baseman. Picking up Urias at the time didn't feel like a big addition, but with what the Red Sox have been able to do with him production-wise, and for a lot of people who wanted Paul DeJong, feels like Luis Urias has been a really excellent addition to the Boston Red Sox, at least very early on here in his Red Sox tenure. Masataka Yoshida has been a little chilly lately, but he had a 4 RBI game in the first game of this series. 3 of those RBIs came off of a 3-run shot in the first game to give the Red Sox a really early lead in that game and in this series. And honestly, that home run felt like it set the tone for the rest of the series. After Masa hit that home run, it felt like, okay, the Red Sox put the pedal to the metal and absolutely throttle the New York Yankees. That's really exactly what they did. So while Masataka Yoshida has been a bit cold at the plate lately, he was able to really set the tone early for this Red Sox team. Connor Wong also had a home run in this series. It was also off of Garrett Cole. He ripped a 104.6 mile per hour homer that went 379 feet into the short porch, which is interesting because normally he's a pull power guy. Connor Wong also had one of the most clutch defensive plays of the entire series, applying the tag and catching that ball from Trevor Story to apply the tag on Isaiah Kiner-Falefa to prevent the New York Yankees from scoring in the 8th inning, which would have been the go-ahead run at the time. So Connor Wong, yet again, another kind of sneaky, under the radar, really productive series behind the plate. Pablo Reyes had 2 more multi-hit games in this series. He's just been racking those up lately. His average is up to 331. His OPS is up to 815. He has really started to become a spark plug for this Red Sox offense. And if you want to understand why he's become this spark plug, check out my video that I posted yesterday. Either way, this is the offense we've been wanting to see from the Boston Red Sox, right? This is what we sort of been begging them to do over the last couple of series, and they finally were able to do it in this one. They were making pitchers look absolutely silly. They were taking advantage of a really struggling Yankees team, and they went full steam ahead, which is exactly what we've been wanting them to do, and it's exactly what we were hoping they would do in the Bronx over these last 3 games. One of my favorite parts of this series is that it was fueled by sort of the big pieces in this Red Sox lineup, right? Last couple of series, which is fantastic that you're getting production outside of those guys, but it's always nice when you have those guys, the Devers, the Turners, the Massas, Doogie having a 2 double game in the first game. It's really, really great for the offense when those guys are clicking at their finest, because this is exactly what happens. You score a bunch of runs, you make a bunch of pitchers look silly, and you just sort of absolutely abuse pitching staffs. To have those guys absolutely teeing off is a great way to kick off another one of those hot streaks that we've seen this Red Sox offense go on, because once you get guys like Devers and Turner really, really going at the plate, the other guys just sort of fall in line, is what we've seen over the last couple of months of the season. So to have that happen in the series, going up into one of the worst stretches of your entire season these next 2 weeks, could be really, really important. So at the end of the day, it's really hard to find things to complain about what the Red Sox offense was able to do in this series. There were a couple of things I wanted to point out. Trevor Story and Adam Duvall are ice cold right now. I think we completely understand why Story is ice cold. Duvall, I would love to get a little bit more production from. Tristan Casas was out basically the entire weekend with a tooth infection, so hopefully that doesn't keep him out for too long. Something to keep an eye on. And Jarren Duran ended up with a toe bruise essentially in the last game of the series as well. So again, hopefully injuries does not affect the Red Sox going forward, and hopefully those guys are able to get back onto the field as soon as possible. But it is definitely something to keep an eye on. But again, the Red Sox absolutely crushed the Yankees, so there's not really much for me to try and complain about in this series offensive-wise. It was just a whole lot of fun to watch. Pitching-wise, in Game 1, we got Brayan Bello, who had been struggling lately, but he stepped it up big time in this series. He absolutely dominated the New York Yankees, going 6 strong innings, allowing 1 earned run on 6 hits, giving up 1 walk, and striking out 4. Bello is a dude who just simply rises to the occasion. That's exactly what he did in this series. Hopefully this game sort of sets him right, like he's ready to go going forward, and I really hope it will. I think none of us were super worried about Bello being able to make this adjustment at the major leagues. It was just sort of a matter of when that was going to happen. Hopefully this is the start of him making that adjustment, and he can carry over the success in this start through the next couple of weeks, because we absolutely need him on this rotation to be doing what he did in this series. Cutter Crawford got the ball in Game 2, and he also had a magnificent start. Maybe honestly his best start of the year. He went 6 strong innings. 5 of those were no-hit innings. He finished allowing just 1 hit. It was a home run, a solo home run. He walked 2 batters and he struck out 5. I get that the Yankees are struggling offensively, so for me to say it was his best start of the year doesn't mean as much as if it were against the Atlanta Braves or anything like that, but Cutter looked fantastic. He was making the Yankee hitters look absolutely silly on the mound, and I think we're at the point now where, at least in my opinion, I'm ready for Cutter Crawford to end up in this rotation in the long run. I think I've seen enough to say, yeah, his ceiling is pretty decent. I think he could be a a really kind of 3, 4, 5 type pitcher to really round out a rotation. I really love what he's been able to do in the absence of Chris Sale, Tanner Houck, and Garrett Whitlock. Stepping up and really filling this role to a really excellent level has been very impressive to me. Finally, we technically got Josh Winkowski, but really this was Nick Pavetta's game. Josh Winkowski had one strong inning where he struck out 2. Then Nick Pivetta came in and did bullpen Nick Pivetta stuff. He ended up going 5 innings, allowing 2 earned run with 2 homers and striking out 8. I think at this point, Nick Pivetta belongs in the bullpen, right? In a long relief type role. We talk about it way too much on this channel here, I think, but it is truly night and day from when he's starting a game to when he's coming in the second or third inning. And I really think there's a legitimate place for that, not only for the rest of the season, but going forward as well. It lengthens your rotation, it lengthens your bullpen. I think Nick Pivetta could be really important out of the bullpen for the Red Sox over the next couple of years. And speaking of the bullpen, I think overall it was really good, right? You had some sketchy moments in there. John Schreiber, in my opinion, was the only one who really struggled. He was having a lot of issues with command, and then the umpire behind the dish in the third game really did not help John Schreiber out, so that was kind of a mix of both. That ended up being a bad outing for him. Technically, Garrett Whitlock was the only other one to give up some runs, and I say technically because he gave up a home run that would have only been a home run at Yankee Stadium. It wouldn't have even made the warning track at Fenway Park, and he did have 5 strikeouts through 2 innings, so I think he looked much better than he did in his last outing. Obviously, it's still going to count against your earned run average, but realistically, he looked much better than his statistics led on. Everyone else out of the bullpen was fantastic. Again, overall, pitching-wise, right, the Yankees have been struggling terribly offensively, and you were able to take advantage of that, which says something, right? If you had gone in there and you had given up multiple runs to a team that has been one of the worst offenses in baseball over the past couple of weeks, something could have been wrong. Instead, you came in there and you dominated where you should have dominated, and you looked really, really great. So to me, what the Red Sox pitching staff, starting-wise and bullpen-wise, were able to do in this series was a really great sign of things to come over the next few weeks. As for the series as a whole, this was sort of your last gimme series before you enter the gauntlet of Houston, LA, Houston, right? And what you did in this series was really, really impressive, because not only in the first 2 games of this series did you come in and you absolutely embarrass the New York Yankees, but in the third game of this series, you essentially demoralize them, right? You pretty much completely finish their season, get rid of any hopes of the postseason of a turnaround or anything like that. So not only were you able to come into this last sort of gimme series, win the series, sweep the series, but you're able to do it, in my opinion, in the best way humanly possible, and that's a really great way to build up momentum. I think fans were super pumped up after this 3-game sweep. I think the team was super pumped up after this 3-game sweep, right? Alex Cora getting pulled out of the press meeting to talk to the team and fire them up for the Houston series. Kenley Jansen speaking to the team and firing them up for the Houston series because of what they were able to do in this series, to me, is a really great sign. Momentum is a huge part of this game, especially when you're getting towards the end of the season. Essentially, what we were hoping the Red Sox would do, which is show up and be the goddamn Boston Red Sox that we know and love, feels like exactly what they did in this series. The problem is, right, we aren't going to know whether or not this is the real Boston Red Sox and whether or not they can get on one of those hot streaks and be white hot like we've seen them be over the past couple of months until they face these Houston, LA, Houston guys. But honestly, I'm feeling really, really good after the series. I think you guys should too. This was exactly what we were hoping for from the Red Sox going into the Bronx, just absolutely crushing them, absolutely burying them, absolutely burying their season, right? This is what we wanted, and it's what we got. So yeah, I think momentum-wise, this is hopefully a great starting point for the Red Sox to really, truly make a run at this thing. But hey, we don't really know how it's going to go. I'm just along for the ride, and I hope you guys are too. Anyways, let me know in the comment section down below before we start this gauntlet of the 2023 season. Let me know what you thought of this Red Sox-Yankees series. What did you think of the offense? What did you think of the pitching? What did you think of the defense? What did you think of the Red Sox effectively burying the 2023 New York Yankees? Let me know all your thoughts on the latest Red Sox series in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.